Listen up, content creators. Your personal safety, your platforms, your belongings is at risk. This is not a threat, it's just a heads up. The last week, some small-time creators have shared content about me and my past, thinking it's the right thing to do, which may be so, but it's not what they think it is. They are involving themselves in something very dark, something sinister, a world I've been trying to leave behind, but a world that keeps trying to pull me back in. These creators are being used in order to extort vehicles and cash from me. Now, Stuart Adams is known online as Shame Cuthbert, Oz Crime Guy, Narcissist Exposed, Autistic Reviewers, Brian J. Dumpling, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and there's probably more out there, but it's an attempt to extort me for what he believes was an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers by me over his attempts to coerce witnesses and pervert the course of justice in his own domestic violence matters.
My son is here yelling and abusing me again. He's here following me around the house. Please come very urgently.
Sometime in 2022, Stuart Adams was arrested during a live-streamed attempt to Molotov cocktail his ex-wife's home, and he was incarcerated for 12 months.
Put your fucking light down, you dumb cunt. Okay.
We had told the weapons.
No.
Let go.
When he called you,
let down. Let it in. Bench. Hurry up. Pull. That's custody. Keep going. Hey, what are you fucking hacking? Stop.
During this time, he made attempts from prison to have his witnesses coerced into changing their stories and pervert the course of justice. I was contacted by Sergeant Priestley from the High Risk Domestic Violence Unit in Parramatta and asked to make a statement against him. And I was also asked to become the Crown witness in the trial, and I refused. But he believes I called Crime Stoppers and alerted police to what he was doing. Now, when he was released in 2023, he sought revenge. The original plan was to take me out fishing, get me drunk, have me fall, hit my head, and fed to the sharks. But he changed his mind and thought he would contact Current Affair instead. He figured that Current Affair would destroy or affect my life enough that it would set me back for 5 years and that I'd be able to bounce back and move on with life later. Problem was, Stuart Adams was an intravenous drug user, fresh out of prison, and needed cash. This is when the first of several extortion attempts took place. Stuart basically says, hey, you know what, you got a card. Basically says, give me the card and all of this goes away. On the day that Current Affair producers and reporters are due to arrive at his place, he says, look, time's running out. He suggests it's up to me to decide what I want him to tell them. You know, he says, okay, you were Australia's most out of control kid, referring to an episode in 1999. Australia's most evil husband, referring to the now deleted 2016 episode. And he suggests that, you know, he's got the power to decide what the next story is going to be. He's about to sit down with Current Affair, right? So Stuart tells them that I nominated myself for awards, that he never knew he was the director of Domestic Violence Anonymous, and that I had stolen his self-help content. None of this is true. The truth is, Stuart nominated me for awards in exchange for cash. It was his suggestion, not mine. Despite telling a Current Affair that he had no idea that he was the director of a charity, here he is in 2020 in a text to his lawyers claiming to be the secretary of Domestic Violence Anonymous. Now, in addition to this, he sent various emails to his son's school and law enforcement using the Domestic Violence Secretary's signature. He knew full well that he was a director. On his birthday, we're registered for DGR status, and it just confirms that he knows all about it, right? And this is 3 years before he goes to a Current Affair and makes up this bullshit story. But he's got the receipts. He's got these audio recordings of me confirming that he had no idea that he was the director of the charity. He says they occurred in 2023, but there's just one problem. That's not true. Either the recordings are real, but they predate 2020, they weren't made in 2023, in which case he's still lying about the date, or he's used recordings to train AI to make them. Something the police are going to have to investigate. He's even got a whole entire website dedicated to it. He's been working on this for 3 years. He's manipulated media, basically just spending all day, every day, making videos about me, content that's edited. Now, the day after he provided his interview to A Current Affair, his door was kicked in and his home was raided by the New South Wales Raptor Squad.
Police! Search warrant! Open the door!
He spent another 12 months in prison. Current Affair made a bunch of claims that aren't really worth going into, but here's some receipts. They said my qualifications were fake. So what? I must have hired actors to fake my graduation, apparently. My graduation was literally attended by a magistrate who sentenced me as a young person. So that's all silly. But they also said I claimed to be president of the Law Society, and following that I actually got a letter from the university basically trying to sack me from the position, saying I couldn't be the president of the Law Society, but I responded and they didn't have the jurisdiction. They, reviewed it and then they backed down. But I've got all the receipts and one day we'll put them out there. But when Stuart's released from prison sometime before October and realised the A Current Affair episode didn't quite destroy me as he planned, he had another go at extorting me for 50k. Now, this time it was through a mutual friend who has since spoken to police in New South Wales, originally using his real name and profiles. However, when the police became involved, he went underground. He changed his profile pictures, his name, and he became Shane Cuthbert and all the other various identities that he uses. Now, what people can see on the surface is a page committed to exposing me. However, there's more to it. Not only is this guy motivated by revenge, extortion attempts, but he's just completely unhinged. Now, both myself and Stuart Adams were inside Redbank House in 1999. He was in the adolescent section. Redbank House is a mental health school hospital for children with treatment-resistant mental health issues, and I've done plenty of videos about it before. But in 2021, Stuart was attempting to detox in hospital, but after threatening staff and telling him he's Batman, he ended up sectioned under the Mental Health Act and arrested by police. Now, this guy has had issues with drugs and mental health, as have I, and I'm not sure what he's capable, but he seems pretty dedicated to this right now. Full disclosure, I was associated with outlaw motorcycle clubs and criminal organisations when I left prisons. I've made no attempts to hide any of this. I've told the media, I have shared stories about it, and I remain open, honest and transparent. However, Stuart is also in contact with members of these organisations and has been attempting to convince them to take me out permanently. In October, during the state election, you didn't see me anywhere because police held very, very serious concerns for my safety. They didn't even want me showing up to vote in my own election. The ECQ was contacted and police sought some special condition to allow me to vote via phone. However, I refused, and so my attendance was organised, and a combination of marked vehicles, police and undercover officers from the Criminal Investigation Branch were tasked with maintaining a presence and protecting me while I voted. There's a lot that I can't say, but what I can say is this. In addition to both the New South Wales and Queensland police, the AFP, the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission in New South Wales, and the cybercrime team in Queensland are all aware and investigating this in various capacities. I received correspondence from New South Wales detectives on Monday. They've been on holidays for 3 weeks, but they're back now, and Queensland detectives as well. There's a few people in the comments saying contact police. Trust me when I say the police are all over this, and at a fairly high level too. Literally lives are at risk. There's very serious underworld figures attempting to locate Stuart Adams and others, sharing this content to find out what exists, where it exists, which places a lot of people at risk basically. But then there's the risk of police kicking down your door because they too want to seize your phone, laptops, computers as part of their investigation into this. They want to know what you have been sent and by whom. Are you speaking with Stuart Adams, or you might not know who it is, but Shane Cuthbert or the various other profiles he's created? This is why I say there's a risk to your personal safety, because look, whether or not you have your door kicked in by, I don't know, someone from the underworld or the police, it's likely that becoming an active participant in this vendetta, you will likely become a witness for the prosecution. And This will eventually make it to trial. Do you want people knocking on your door? Do you want police coming in and seizing things if you have kids? Do you want to take the stand in what I believe will be a highly publicised trial, again, in a year or two from now? Like, when I ran for council, I had 2 current affair episodes. I was getting debated on Sky News. I had national media attention, and this, I think, potentially will be probably even bigger than that. So do you want to be a part of that? I think people think that they have been down the rabbit hole, but think again. They've only been down Stuart Adams' rabbit hole. They've only been down the rabbit hole and seen everything that Stuart Adams has provided them with. This goes further than I think anybody can possibly comprehend. This is not your typical online he said, she said feud. There's some very serious elements to it, and I think people deserve to be informed. A few weeks ago, I was contacted by detectives in relation to a bomb threat made to the Cairns courthouse. I was named as the person of interest. I was due in court that day. The prosecution withdrew the charges against me for this very reason, for the safety concerns that they have, not only for me, but others. I have detonated explosive devices in the past. I've got a very real history of doing those kinds of things. I've made videos about it. It's all been disclosed. It wasn't me, but no surprise, the tip-off come through the New South Wales Crime Stoppers. In New South Wales is where Stuart Adams lives. Now, the AFP are investigating this matter because, they're taking this very seriously. Magistrates, judges and courthouses being targeted as part of this vendetta. I do not condone this behaviour, and I've been cooperating fully with police. So trust me when I say the police are watching, and they are documenting everything. I have a good relationship with both the police and bikies. I'll admit some of them are upset with me, but others are okay. I've been in contact with multiple presidents since October, and I've got an understanding with them, which probably explains why I'm still walking around, but I do have the support of police as well, and I encourage all of you to contact them. If you're in Queensland, give the CIB a call, or in New South Wales, detectives. If you have not been contacted already, because some of you have, this is all monitored as part of the ongoing investigations. Some of you are asking why the mainstream media haven't done a story, and the short answer is they have. As far as I know, Current Affair has had 2 cracks at this, and the Cairns Post here has done 3. However, the journo, Peter Carathas from the Cairns Post, he told me that each one of them was knocked back by their legal teams, and he says actually for the first time in his entire career, the police wouldn't speak to him. These are big companies, Channel 9, Murdoch Press, they got money, they can employ security, they have big legal teams capable of defending and protecting them. They're not reporting because of the associated dangers and legal issues. But trust me when I say they are licking their lips, waiting for the opportunity as well. I mean, I've been on Current Affair, I think 4 or 5 times now, since I was a kid, and they're licking their lips. I mean, this has been described as both the Nicola Gobbo case, Underbelly, and it's the Michaela Tester and a Paul feud all rolled into one. Like, it's got more drama than anything I've ever seen, but it's potentially dangerous as well. Now, personally, I don't mind the attention. The more traction and attention this gets, the better for me and my platform. The more awareness I can raise around social issues and highlight really important things. But I'm just asking people to consider whether this is something that they want to be involved in, and look, go for it if you do. But, make sure that you stay safe and that you're aware and you're across all of this stuff before you sort of go out on a whim, which I think some of you have. I think some of you have bought the Shane Cuthbert stuff hook, line and sinker. It's been fed to you. Some of the content the creators are pulling out is just, there's no receipts at all. Like, it's all just made up, completely. And I know that it comes from Shane Cuthbert, which is Stuart Adams. For those making videos for their own safety, I can tell you that it only makes you a target, and not a target of mine, but a target of Stuart Adams, underworld figures and police. Any fake accounts that are in there, I can tell you they're not mine. I'd imagine they're just another one of Stuart Adams' accounts as he tries to control the narrative in your comment sections. I mean, most of the stuff that's being shared is from 11 years ago. Even a lot of the Shane Cuthbert stuff on that page predates 2020. I mean, there's videos of me, looking like an idiot. I'm high as a kite. I'm fresh out of prison in 2017. This is all old news. It's being shared by people that think they are advocates and passionate people in this space, victims of domestic violence that are being used by another known domestic violence offender, somebody that has in the past coerced and attempted to coerce and pervert the course of justice in their own domestic violence matters. They're just doing things a little bit differently now. They are using social media and these fake platforms to encourage you all to jump on board and get involved.
From here on out, I won't be engaging any further in your comment sections or your platforms. I won't be answering any questions for various reasons, which include my own safety, but also the ongoing harming of a criminal investigation. I mean, the police are not too happy with me talking about this stuff. I can imagine I'm making their investigation more difficult, and I'm trying to do the right thing here. I've worked very, very hard to build a life for myself. I've done a lot of work over the years, and I'm not just about to throw it all in the toilet over someone calling me out on TikTok. So I'm confident that this is going to end up in the courts at some point, and I know that the media is waiting for that as well, because when it is in the courts, the legal issues go away, because the media are allowed to report on matters that are before the courts. So the real story will be told, and not only that, all of the evidence will be there to back it all up. If I have harmed or intimidated or scared anyone, I do apologise, because that is not my intention. Now, I've made a lot of mistakes in my past, and I still do. Honestly, I say shit and I go, fuck, why did I say that, okay? Or I do things and I go, why did I do that? I make mistakes, but I'm out here trying to do better and be better. I have friends, I do good things, and whatever people think my motivations are, you can't deny that I'm out there doing good in the community. Sure, I want to get ahead just like everybody else. I've probably said things that whilst others may not say out loud, trust me, are thought by many, especially, some of the political stuff. I'm still a human being, okay? I'm a real person. I come with warts and all and flaws. I've spent years now discussing my past issues, the crimes I've committed, the mistakes I've made, my takeaways, my learnings, and I don't believe I deserve a life sentence. The reality is I'm doing good things. There will always be people trying to bring me down because of my past. Some people think that's deserved. It may be these vendettas and people from my past, trying to bring me down. The reality is, this is not my first rodeo. I've been through this before, and I'm resilient. I'm going to keep going, but I just want to say, stay safe and take care of yourselves.